All right, knife geeks, we got another one for you. This is one I've been looking for a while. Couldn't find it in the States really, so I just had to order it directly from Italy and have it shipped from overseas, which didn't take that long. I think I ordered it Saturday night or Sunday night, and here it is Friday night, and it got through customs in less than a week, so not bad. I have been, by the way, hit like, subscribe, make comments, tell your friends. It costs you nothing to do that, but it really helps me out. So I've been a big fan of the Barlow design, and I've got a really, really tasty little one from Rough Rider Reserve. And then I've got a two-blade Barlow, which it's Barlow-ish. It's not strictly exactly like a Barlow, but it's still there are Barlows in two-blade configurations. So I've got the Rough Rider Reserve Tear Jerk, which is a little bit larger. So this one, I love the design, but it's just a little small for my hand, whereas this, definitely I can get even my big hand, I can get mostly on there. So, and I've been on a kick as far as traditional knives and stuff. Just some of the other designs I've got that I'm a big fan of are, I've got a bunch of trappers. I've got some from Case. I've got this one from Boker, made in Solingen, Germany, which is probably my nicer one. Other than I've got a GEC Great Eastern Cutlery. That's a really nice one as well. And then, of course, there's the Stockman Design, which is your three-blade. So I've got an example from Case, which I'm kind of about Case. Case isn't really a good brand of knives as far as I'm concerned. They're one of those ones that just kind of relies on their heritage and their reputation, and their quality is really hit or miss. This Boker runs circles. The Rough Rider Reserves run circles around any Case I've ever owned. I have a couple that are nice, but they're not that nice. So I've been looking around for a Barlow. My problem with Barlows is they tend to be really small. You can get one that's a Barlow-ish, not strictly a Barlow, but it's obviously inspired by a Barlow, but it's not quite the long bolster, and it's not quite. I like this design. It's very gentlemanly. This thing happens to have very smooth action, very strong spring, but it's a pen knife for me. Someone else might think that's a perfect EDC, gentleman's EDC. For me, it's a pen knife. So I've been looking for Barlows around the 3-inch blade size. That's a 2.5. There, I think I can get into being able to basically get a hand on it. So it's still small, but it's definitely a lot nicer in the hand. So I went to LionSteel. There was two I was considering. The James brand, which is made by Riat, which makes a really great knife. They're made in China, but they're like $220, unless you want the black handle and black coated blade, which I did not. And I really wanted something nice. So this is the LionSteel Barlow. It's got their Dom style blade. It is 3 inches long. Might be 2.97. It's just, yeah, it's like 2.97. Cutting edge is a solid almost 2 3/4, whereas this guy is a 2.5-inch blade, and it's a lot shorter, the cutting edge. Not a lot, it's maybe a 1/2-inch difference. But the handle's a little bigger, and that's the biggest difference here, is that handle. Doesn't sound like the extra 1/2-inch makes a difference, but ask your wife, it does. So I went with this for less money. That was the thing. There was the Chinese made by the James brand, which is beautiful. It's called the Wayland, I think. It's a really exquisite knife. I love the design, and I know people are critical of the James brand, saying, oh, they're just a lifestyle brand. They are, but their knives are nicely made. They're good quality. But, for less money, for $165, I looked at LionSteel, which comes with titanium bolsters. It comes with carbon fiber scales. It has the stop bar so that you don't get blade wrap of that snapping against the spring in there and digging the blade. It's Bowler M390 steel. This is a much nicer, more premium knife made in Italy. And here's what I like about the LionSteel in particular. The pivot is adjustable. So you can take these scales off, and then you've got the pivot screw is underneath. So you can have a slip joint, and slip joints can either lock up tight and not give you blade wiggle. Like this one has a little, it's barely perceptible. This one's pretty I could feel a little more in that one. The case knives, a lot of wobble. The Boker, that one's pretty tight. So what's nice about this is that, you know, these ones I picked out, like I went through the ones they had in stock to get the ones with the tighter blades that didn't have a lot of blade wobble. Couldn't do that with the case. I ordered this one from Amazon. This, if I need to tighten it or I want to take it apart to clean it, this is a classic Barlow design with modern materials. I mean, this is titanium, M390, carbon fiber. This is beautifully made. This is a really nice blade. We'll do a sharpness test real quick, but that feels like a razor blade. Really, really nice point. Good for piercing. The spring is tight. It's got a half stop. The walk and talk that I don't know why people care about, but people seem to care about. If you're into knives, you're supposed to like that. Nice little swedge on the back. Beautiful grind. This is a really nice little knife. It's just bigger enough than that. Although it's shorter in some dimensions, the blade isn't as tall. The handle's not as tall this way. It's a tiny bit thicker in the hand and it's a little bit longer. It just fits the hand a little nicer. The action is smooth. The blade is tight. And if I ever needed to adjust that, those are Torx bits. That's not, you know, on all these other knives, there's a steel rivet that's pressed through and then it's mashed over and peened over with a hammer. And then they polish it so that it looks like it's one piece. But once that's there, you know, they either set it too tight and you got to kind of break it in, or the guy didn't know what he was doing and made it loose, and it's only going to get looser over time as the metal on metal wears and creates, you know, a little bit more of a gap. But for the most part, the slip joints, when you do that with a normal peened bolster, they are what they are. You either get one with a good action, and like I said, I've hand selected these ones out of the inventory to make sure that I got one that had the type of blade action that I wanted. Really love this one. But with here, I can adjust that. So if I need to take it apart, clean it, damage one of the scales, you can go to MGM, which is the parent company of LionSteel, and I can order scales. I can order parts for this knife, and I can, using Torx bits and, you know, blue or red Loctite, I can fix, repair, take it apart, clean it, replace things as needed. So that's pretty cool. That's what I really like, that modernization of a classic 150-year-old design. Do a quick sharpness test. Oh yeah. I mean, just curling those teeth. I'm just barely touching that. And it's digging in and just curling those. Look at that. Beautifully sharp. Will it do the push test? A lot of the knives lately I've had have failed the push test. Beautiful. Effortless. That is a really nice, sharp, precise razor edge. That just glides through, either on a slice or on a simple push cut. It just goes. That is a wicked. That is like a scalpel. That is like a medical grade scalpel. I'm going to need to be careful with that, because one little nick, if I was doing something and I just barely touched myself, I would slice myself open like nobody's business. Luckily, I keep Band-Aids around. So don't have the weight in front of me. It feels like it's a little heavier than a whatchamacallit. It's lighter, I think, than this. They're about this. Actually, it is a little bit lighter, and that's probably because it's all titanium rather than steel. So I would say that this has got to be around 2.5 ounces, somewhere in that range. So it's a little heavier than a bug out, but not much. And here again is what I love about LionSteel. All of those edges, everything is beveled, rounded, all of the edges. There is not a sharp or rough edge anywhere on this damn thing. All the edges here, the edges here, everything. They take the time to really make sure that that blade is perfectly ground. All the edges are transitioning properly. There's no gaps. Your fingernail's not catching on anything. There's no proud pins. Well, this doesn't have pins. It has screws, but they're all perfectly flush. Nice job there. They're not recessed. They're just flush. Like someone took the time to make sure that those screws and everything was set so it's just flush. That is a beautiful, exquisite little gentleman's knife. Old school charm and craftsmanship, using modern materials, modern production in Italy. I believe these are mostly handmade, all assembled by hand and everything by Luigi or whoever there in the factory in Italy. But this is a beautiful knife, M390 titanium carbon fiber, for about $40 less than the Chinese-made James brand. So it's definitely more expensive than something like the Rough Rider Reserves. You know, this was I don't know, this was like a $50 knife or something like that, or $59, somewhere in there, 50, $60. Yeah, it's 3 times as much, but I would suggest, you know, this is D2 and micarta, and while it's very well done, brass liners, and it's got washers in there. So this is a beautiful knife, but it's just that it's small. I wish this was bigger. If this knife, if I could get one in like a 3 1/4 inch blade, I would like a big Barlow. I wouldn't mind it if it was actually bigger than this. I've been carrying these a lot. Although lately, the knife that's been in my pocket the most of late is the Trekker. It's a straight edge. It's not the serrated, but it's not one-handed opening because you can't get that anymore with the straight edge, the plain edge. But that's been in my pocket more than anything. But when I'm going for like, I want something nice. I want something classy. I want to class up the joint a bit. I've been reaching for things like my Boker Tree Brand Classic, which has a really strong spring. But I love Trappers. I like Stockmans. I just haven't found any really good ones that have impressed me as much as the Trappers and Barlows. So anyway, that is the LionSteel. That is just a wicked, sharp, very useful. Yeah, I mean, I'm barely touching this, and it just effortlessly just like a frickin' razor blade. That is a knife that I am going to need to be careful with. But I think you would agree, it's a beautiful little blade. LionSteel, Barlow. They have a Barlow thin. They've got one with a blade, kind of a spear point. There's one that's got a clip point. So you can get it a couple different blade configurations. You can get them with wood. You can get it with micarta. There's a couple different colors and finishes and stuff. I just went for that. I think that's beautiful, clean, and classy, as well as being very useful. It's a nice little pocket folder. That will make it very, very high into my rotation. I've been carrying this one a lot, although just because a lot of times I'm needing, you know, screwdrivers and other tools, I have been carrying that. But if I was going to the office or I was going somewhere where I just wanted a clean little slim pocket knife that takes up no space in the pocket and were to pull it out and use it to open a package or, you know, remove the tag from something, it's not going to raise any eyebrows or alarm anybody. Although I live in Georgia, so it probably wouldn't alarm too many people. But you go down to Atlanta, they're a bunch of pussies. A bunch of liberals down there. Anyway, check it out, man. LionSteel. Really nice stuff. They got some great high-tech titanium knives, all CNC machined. But they've got some classics. The next one I get from them is probably going to be the Gitano, or Gitano. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I just know that it's really cool. So anyway, check it out, yo.